what was the first memory you can remember as a child around money? So think of, for example, someone shared, she went to a restaurant and her grandma was like, what do you want? And she had said with pasta. Waiter came and asked what they wanted. And she was like, would you like that with chicken? And she was like, yes. And she was scolded for that and told she was selfish. Like being told that you're not worth it, essentially for $2, like no wonder so many people feel worthless. But these are the reactions that can come from our caregivers when they already had the program of fear, scarcity, and lack within them. And when you start to really get this, as annoying as it is, when you get that like your thoughts are creating your reality all of the time, you're like, oh man, it's annoying how much you have to take radical responsibility for your entire life. Hello, you guys. Welcome to this week's episode of the Expand and Evolve podcast. I want to talk about money. So we're going to do a quick little money mindset chat. And I did this kind of like conversation, I guess you could say, like a snippet of it at a live event. I've done it on phone calls. I've done training calls, all these different things. And I was like, I'm going to bring this to the podcast and talk a little bit about this because I feel like they're tangible things you can actually kind of move through. So if you're someone who struggles in any way in regards to earning more money, holding money, accepting more money, receiving more money, getting yourself out of financial struggle, I feel like this may help you and be like a starting point to help you with your money mindset. Okay. So that's what we're going to chat about. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, and this is going to be one, if you can have a notebook, amazing. Sit through and do these exercises as I say them. Pause this episode, do the exercises, and then keep moving through it. But what I first wanted to start with is like just starting to identify what your common beliefs are about money. So this would be stuff that like maybe right when I say like, what do you think about money? What comes to mind? And you being able to sit with that and go, oof, like stress or not enough or feeling stressed, creating turmoil amongst my family, the biggest struggle in my life, money doesn't grow on trees, like whatever beliefs are starting to show up, just kind of think of them. If you have a pen and paper, note them down if you need time. Okay. The next question I want you to think about, and again, keep pausing this if you can, is to think about the word luxury. And when you think of the word luxury, I want you to write what comes to mind when you think of that word. So do you think of positive experiences? Like, are you thinking of yachts and cars and luxury vehicles and luxury hotels and luxury experiences? Or are you thinking about it's not needed? Like, that's excessive. No one needs that. I have enough. You don't need luxury, or like that's not for me, or that's out of reach. Everyone has a different way that they feel when they hear this word. So just think on that. Okay. So I want you guys to pause and just take a moment and write that kind of stuff down of just like what came to mind when you heard the word luxury, and then what came to mind when you heard the word money. Okay. Okay. So the next thing I just wanted to share is luxury is a frequency that you carry. So the same way that you can carry the frequency of cheap, that broke is a frequency, it's in all the little details. So the same way that your frequency could be in guilt or shame or fear or scarcity or lack or joy or love or enlightenment, like whatever your thing is, right? Luxury is also a frequency that you carry. So it's in the way that you operate in your day-to-day life. It's in the way that you look at a menu. It's in the way that you choose clothes that you're going to buy. It's in a way that you look for constantly like looking at a deal, how you look at the price of something. You can live a very broke life based on how you function your day-to-day. The same way that even without a lot of money, you could still live a life that feels more luxurious, even to come down to like the way that you put on your oil, the way that you sit to do your makeup, the way that you romanticize your mornings. Like there's ways to create luxury that have nothing to do with money. So understanding that it's a frequency that you carry and you can live a more luxurious life when you step into that frequency and how you function and operate. Next thing I want to bring awareness to, I just recorded a podcast like last week. So this is what you're going to be hearing the week after. And I talked about this, how abundance is your birthright. And if you really sit with that and understand, like, where does abundance come from? How do you find abundance? Like, you start to understand like we were born abundant. We didn't know limitation until limitation was imposed upon us, typically by your caregivers. So your mom, dad, friends, family, caregivers, coworkers, teachers, whoever, people who had an impact on your life, their little nuances in their beliefs around money, around what you can have, what you can't have, those created limitations within you. Until those limitations were placed upon you, you believed everything was available to you, possibilities were limitless, and abundance was your birthright. And so with that, what I want you to think about is think if you're a mom or dad and you have kids, do your kids ever like tone down, especially when they're little? It's like, I want this, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. They might ask for something, they realize it's not what they want. They ask for the next thing. They have no problem demanding and sharing what they need or want. As we get older, we lose the ability to do that. We start shape shifting for the people around us to create the peace or like make them happy or not upset them or whatever. We start shifting. And that's because we're learning about limitation. When we're born, we don't have that. That grows over time through other beliefs. So an example that I just asked the girls when I was doing this call the other night is I said, what's the first memory you can remember where you, like your first memory around money? And what was it? And pause this so that you can reflect on that for yourself. What was the first memory you can remember as a child around money? Was it positive? Was it negative? Was it you asking for something and someone saying like, money doesn't grow on trees. You can't have that. Don't ask me for anything ever again. Was it you saying what you wanted on the menu and them saying, we can't afford that? Was it them, you asking for pop and they're like, no, we can't afford that. We can't buy that. You're getting water. Where you started to learn like the things you wanted, you couldn't have without money. And in this, it creates this funny dynamic where you start to feel separate from it. And you start to feel like you need something outside of you for your needs to be met and for you to be taken care of. It's a really, like, I get why there's the beliefs of like money is the root of all evil, because my true belief is that the earth before, what is it? Consumerism, not communism, consumerism and capitalism came into play. Everything was abundant and everything was free. And we were always taken care of. Our needs were always met. We didn't need to work for money like we do now. We didn't need to stress about money the way we do now. And so I'm like, back in the day, money wasn't a thing. But in the society we're living in right now, you need it to live a beautiful, free life. You do. And so what typically happens is like, I feel as human beings, we're born and we don't understand that everything isn't accessible to us. We have hopes and dreams and believe that anything is possible. Like whatever we want in this world is possible until someone else tells us it isn't or makes us feel like it's unrealistic. And that starts to shape our beliefs around how we see money and how we see the things that we really want. And it makes us start to feel like we need something outside of us in order for our needs to be met, which creates this feeling of scarcity and lack, which shouldn't naturally exist. But it does because of the circumstances, situations, and the way that we're raised and like the beliefs that are imposed upon us. So if you can have compassion for that and understanding like the money story you're operating from right now isn't really your own fault. Like a lot of that was imposed on you long before you were even aware about what money really was. So think of, for example, someone shared yesterday that she went to a restaurant and her grandma was like, what do you want? And she had said the pasta. Then the waiter came and asked what they wanted. And she was like, would you like that with chicken? And she was like, yes. And she was scolded for that and told she was selfish, that all she cared about was herself. How could she say that? It was $2, you guys. So imagine as a little child getting screamed at, yelled at, and scolded for something that's a $2 difference. Imagine why we have self-worth issues. Like, hello? Like being told that you're not worth it essentially for $2. Like no wonder so many people feel worthless. But these are the reactions that can come from our caregivers, parents, whoever, when they were so stressed about money and they already had the program of fear, scarcity, and lack within them. And so the same way abuse, the same way trauma, the same way anything, those programs are implanted in them and they will feed through you if it's not caught, shifted, Control Alt Delete, and the cord is not cut from that belief. So a lot of your beliefs and how you're operating in your life right now likely aren't even yours. And when you can give yourself some grace and compassion for that these were learned behaviors from people in your life, and then you grew up in it unconsciously, now you're bringing conscious awareness to it, which means you can shift it. You can rewire your nervous system, you can rewire the way you feel, and you can completely shift the way that you relate and deal with money. So I just want to share that and like really give yourself some time to self-reflect on the way you grew up, your situation around money, and those first beliefs and like those things that you can remember. So when you think of that first childhood memory, what is it? And can you write it down? Okay, so any limitations you currently believe about money were likely learned beliefs from your caregivers and established at a really young age. So what I just said, recall a memory, your first memory around money. Was it, we can't afford that? Did you ask for a toy and they said no? What was it? Because that likely created an imprint that's still running your life today. But you can choose to rewrite. And now that choose to rewrite that now that you're aware of it. Because truly, you're able to achieve and create the life of your dreams. You just need to get clear on what that is and drop the story of struggle. So, some negative beliefs that you may have heard before and that you may believe, I want to read these to you because they're probably, honestly, for most people, these are the things that are running the show and they're not even really aware of it. So, the first one, there isn't enough money to go around. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money's the root of all evil. I don't deserve a lot of money. Having money is selfish. So some people feel like when they have extra, they need to get rid of it and spend it because they feel bad having extra. Wanting more is greedy. You have to work really hard and struggle to have money. You need money to make money. Hold your money close. More money equals more problems. You can't change your financial future. Managing money is stressful. Money was meant for spending. I can't save money. I'm bad with money. I'm never going to have enough money. I can't love what I do and make a lot of money. My family's always been poor. So you believe that that's your story too. It was interesting because someone was sharing how she's a single mom now and works 2 jobs. And she's like, oh my God, my mom was a single mom and worked 2 jobs. So is that really her life? Or did she just inherit the belief that that's what you do as a single mom because her mom did it? It gets really interesting and really fun when you start to break it down. So, okay. With that, I just want you to sit on that for a second and think of those beliefs and be like, which ones have you heard before? And which ones did you kind of go, oh, yeah, heard that one before? And then you start to realize like, dang, that's like in your subconscious running the show. And if you believe that money equals struggle, or I had someone else say like, they started earning more money than they ever had before, and they felt bad because they're like, what did I do to deserve this when other people are struggling? And I don't know if this will help, but it was something I heard. Money isn't something that stays stagnant. Money is not something that you can ever lose. Money is something that's constantly circulating. And if you think about it that way, the same way that water, it's an abundance of water. Where's the river flowing from? It just constantly circulates. Money is the same. So when you start to understand your vessel too, as like when you hold or hoard money, that's fear, scarcity, and lack. You don't want to just spend it because you don't want to hold it, but it's the act of opening your hands and being willing to let it go. You don't want to get too attached to it. But then also knowing that when you allow it to flow, it's going to come back to you and you can't lose it. Even in a bad financial situation or circumstance or choice or whatever, trusting that like, okay, the money was just needing to be circulated. And it wasn't meant to be in my hands. It needed to be in someone else's. And it's going to come back to me because I trust that I am deserving of living an abundant life and that I'm worth having a life free of struggle. But for some of you, you believe your only way to live is through struggle, is through pain, is through hardship. And because of that, you're going to consistently create situations and circumstances where you have to function that way. And when you start to really get this, as annoying as it is, when you get that like your thoughts are creating your reality all of the time, every circumstance, every situation, everything you experience is because of your thoughts. And you start to see like your life is a freaking hologram of what's happening in here. You're like, oh man, it's annoying how much you have to take radical responsibility for your entire life. No blame, low vibes, low frequency. I was at my kids' school. If you guys don't already know this, I started a homeschool pod. It's called Wholehearted Academy. And one of the little girls had a sleepover and she was complaining about blaming my son for like why she was tired. And eventually, midday, I had to say, enough. We're not going to blame anybody. This was your own choice to wake up at that time. You could have stayed sleeping. You could have chosen. She's 5, by the way, but this is real. And I said, you chose to sleep over. You chose to sleep over on a weeknight. You chose, this is what you wanted. And I'm speaking to her like how you'd speak to a child. And, but I ultimately said, no more. No more blame. That's not cool. Take accountability of what you chose to do. And yeah, maybe you feel tired, but did you have fun? Did you love it? Was everything else good? She was like, yeah, I had so much fun. And I'm like, then no more complaining that you're tired. We're going to get I'm like, just like this. I'm like, in 3, 2, 1, we're going to go, wah! And we're going to be like, I feel alive. And I'm going to snap it and you're not going to be tired anymore. And she was like, okay. And so we did it. And she was like, hmm. So sometimes you don't have that parent, right? Like you are the parent to yourself, but you need to be, and you guys, the way her energy completely shifted because blame is such a low vibe, low frequency. And I was like, you are better than this. We're not going to sit in that energy. No way. We're going to acknowledge we feel tired, but we're going to shift our mindset, shift our energy, and we're going to change it right now like this. And they're so impressionable. She believed me. She was like, you're right. Okay. And she shifted it immediately. Not a single other complaint came out of her mouth. You have to be able to parent yourself in that same way. Where in a moment where you're like, you have to bring enough self-awareness to catch it and be like, what the F? What am I doing? No, I don't want that to become true. And I don't want to feel that way. Another example. And the reason I knew to do this with her was because I was on a red eye once and I knew I wasn't going to sleep because I was in an economy seat. It was super uncomfortable. And I was like, there's no way I'm sleeping. And so I was like, but you know what? I don't want to sit for the next 6 hours thinking about how I can't sleep and how uncomfortable this seat is. I am going to speak affirmations into my mind the entire way until I find calmness and like feel rejuvenated, essentially. So I put frequencies on, I put a thing over my head, and I was like, okay, I'm going to sit in this feeling of, I'm like, you're calm, you're rested, you're rejuvenated, you're getting so much rest. Like you don't even need to sleep. When you arrive, you're going to feel full of life, right? I was saying these things to myself and I literally, you guys, dropped into such a calmness and felt so good that I got off that plane. I don't even know if I slept because again, I didn't focus on, oh, I only slept for 2 hours. I'm going to be so tired. My day's going to be ruined. No, I was like, it's great. 6 a.m. I'm awake for the day. Can't wait to go home. This is going to be fun. And I didn't focus on it. Obviously, I'm going to feel tired at some point, but it's like, I'm just going to pretend like it's a new day and everything's fine. And doesn't matter if I slept because I chose to feel rested and rejuvenated. And when you start to understand that that's the power of your mind, what you tell it, it believes, it doesn't know the difference. So if you truly believe it, it's different if I'm like, I'm rested, I'm rejuvenated, but I'm like, you're so tired, you're so tired. You can't bypass what you truly think and believe. But if you can get yourself to actually believe it, then your mind believes it, your body believes it, and that's what starts to happen. So taking radical responsibility for the fact that your thoughts are 100% creating your reality. You keep attracting shitty people. It could be lessons, yeah, but like you're calling it in. There's something in you that's calling it in. Same thing with like, okay, you keep losing money. Something in you believes you can't hold money. Something in you believes your life is like meant to be a struggle. I'm sorry. It's just a fact. It's just the truth. And maybe you're learning art of detachment. I don't know. Everyone's journeys are different. That's for you to go uncover. But you need to be willing to understand and take radical responsibility for the fact that your life looks the way it does because of who you are, what you say, how you think, what you do, who you hang out with, the impressions that you have upon you from the people. Because you can't sit in the fact that like forever in your life, you're going to think about, oh, when my mom and dad and this happened and that. Okay, well, you're an adult. Now you're listening to this podcast. You get to choose different. Radical responsibility. And understanding you can change your circumstances. And also, when you're wanting more money, needing more money, like where is it really coming from? And what do you want it for? Because something that I'm moving through right now, and then I'm going to go through like appreciation and some different positive ways to think about this and like tangibles for what I did to make more money. But something that I was thinking about, and I've been thinking about this a lot recently, is of course, if abundance is your birthright, you can earn as little or as much money as you want. If I really want private jets and yachts and, like that super luxurious lifestyle, I can have it. I know that. But it's like, does my heart want that? And so I'm sharing this because I want you to really reflect on like what the worldly things say that you want and what society makes you feel you should want with money. Is it true for you? Because sometimes we're trying to chase something that's, like, not actually true to our heart and our soul, and no wonder you're not getting it. So it's like you could be saying like, "I want a G-Wagon," and it's like, what do you want that for, though? Like, does your soul want it? Like, do you need that? Is that even part of your life path? And not out of a place of settling, but, like, truly, will that bring me joy and happiness? Is it for me or is it for others? Am I doing it to show off? Like, where's the energy of that want coming from? Because you can have whatever you want, but, like, why do you want it? And this is something that I've had to move through because I take radical responsibility for my life. The life I'm creating is because I think about it, I see it, I visualize it, and I create it. And I really believe, whether you believe in manifestation or God, answered prayer, whatever, I feel like we're sovereign beings here on this planet that get to choose the life we want to live. Is there a blueprint that's already laid out for us that we probably already chose before we got here? Yeah. But, like, ultimately, we get to choose the life we want to live. And you are a sovereign being who has choice, which means when you realize this, there's a blessing and a curse. You understand when you take radical responsibility, like, wow, you can have anything you want, which also means you can have anything you want. Do you get it? So it's like, now you need to actually have discernment of, like, what's true for you, not what you see someone on Instagram have, not what you see someone else doing and seeing like, maybe I want that, maybe I want this, and maybe I want that. It's like options and opportunities are endless. So what do you want? You know, in the notebook, it's like, what do you want? Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, because I feel like I can have anything I want and I could create the life I desire. It's like, what do you want? That's a confronting question when you really think about it. When you've lived your life for other people, when you've lived your life for your parents, when you've lived your life for society, when you've done everything for what you think other people want, and now all of a sudden you're allowed to have anything you want, and you're like, but what do I want? So the reason I'm sharing that is because what your heart and soul want that would give you peace and joy and make you feel the most fulfillment, probably from the majority aren't actually worldly material things. It's probably more feeling oriented. And so being able to have whatever you want, you just kind of have to sit with that and go like, man, what is it? And so for me in this season, I'm like, do I want more money? Like, of course, who doesn't want more money? It'll give me more options. I'll live a better life, whatever. But I'm like quite content. And so a part of me goes, am I just wanting more because I think it's what I'm supposed to want? Or do I actually want more? Am I destined for a life of, like, you know, true luxury and private jets? Or is it just because I know it's available? I think I want that, but I don't actually care. And this is a piece where I'm kind of dissecting because my next level of leadership and growth and business is, what do I want next? And I don't really have a vision. And I think this is the other part is like, we live in such a fast-paced culture and society that we constantly think we need to be chasing more. And I feel like this last year or two has really been about feeling so content, truly content without chasing, without needing, without more, and actually feeling really good in the season that I'm in and appreciating, like truly appreciating my life, the money that I have coming in, and the life I've created for myself without bypassing it thinking I need more. Does this make sense? And so really being able to reflect on yourself and your own life and be like, okay, are you in a season where you're settling because you're afraid and you're creating this comfort zone because you're scared to step out of it, even though you know you're made for more? Or are you in a season where, like, you're actually content and not chasing for the first time in your life? That's something only you know the answer to. Um, and I go through waves of like, man, okay, I'm ready to make more money and I'm going to go all in. And then I go, man, but I feel so good. I feel really content. And after 30 something years of chasing and being so achievement oriented, like, it feels really good to not have my entire life about that and to find true peace and fulfillment in where I am right now. Because I don't know about you guys, but having little kids, like, they're getting older so fast. And I'm like, I'm going to have my whole life to build whatever it is I want to create. Why rush? And this is something that, like, having the farm has really taught me is it takes time. You can't rush the bloom. You can't rush the growth. You can't rush the tree to be fruitful and multiply in the way that it's going to. That takes time. And enjoy the process of creation. So for me, building this farm and starting this school and blah, 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 my vision and what is there currently doesn't match yet. But part of the process and the journey is going on the journey to create that thing. And it's so fulfilling when you get there. But when you get there, you're done. You have to go create something else and start a new vision, start a new goal. I feel like we're here as humans on planet Earth to go create, to go put our mark, our unique spirit, light, and soul could create on this planet. We all have a mission, something we're meant to do here to make this world a better place. That's what I believe. So for me, the minute that I finish a creation, I know I'm going to be onto something else. I'm going to be expanding something, growing something, probably having a new dream and something different. And so in this season, I'm learning to actually find love for the journey and the process without rushing to the destination. And I say that because I feel like society makes us think it's the next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing, more, 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 more. And I'm like, what I go back to, and you guys can go back to my episode like 8, it was just an audio clip. I was in Costa Rica from my first plant medicine ceremony, and all I saw was me, but everybody suffocating in stuff. And it brings me back to like, we are constantly bombarded with stuff and things that like we think we need and we don't need more. We actually need less. We need more space to expand, to be with ourselves and like truly feel us. When you feel that and that connection to yourself, your soul, God, whatever, you feel full in a way that no amount of stuff could ever make you feel full and whole, and complete. And so I share that because on the topic of money, sometimes we need to reflect and be like, okay, where do I really feel like this isn't good enough for me? Like I'm actually not settled here. I actually hate my house. I actually hate my car. I know I would feel better with a nicer car. I know I'd feel better with a bigger house. I actually hate where I live. I don't want to live here. I'd rather live in Florida or Europe or whatever. Like giving yourself the space to be radically honest about what you don't like so that you can learn what you do and then go do that. Like you're free to create the life that you want, but what is it that you want? And not feeling like you need it because someone else has it. Like for one person, they might want that big, huge mansion and like that's their dream on the beach. For another person, they're like, actually, that doesn't make me happy. And even though I have all the money in the world, I actually feel better not being tied down to any specific place. And I would prefer to rent and have the freedom to get up and leave whenever I want. You have to figure that out for you. Your life doesn't have to look like everyone else's blueprint. It's not meant to. It's meant to be unique and yours. So allow yourself to go in and create the thing that you want to create. Let it be different. And so for me, like, I'll take you back. So for me, I lived in my parents' basement suite. Most of you guys know this story. But if you're new, like when I first started my first business and my career, I was living in my parents' basement suite. And I remember feeling like I would be content with a little apartment, right? Like I'm young and I'm like, that could be my first thing. And then when I started looking at homes and stuff, like I knew the home I was first buying wasn't the home I really wanted. I wanted something bigger. I went and looked at bigger houses too, but the mortgage at the time was like a little bit of a stretch. And I was like, I'm not going to do that to myself. I don't want to live under financial stress. So I chose the house that was more quote unquote within my means, but it gave me comfort and it was still beautiful and something I felt happy in. This house actually. And then as I was living here, it was like, I wanted something new. I wanted something different. I wanted something else to chase after. So I wanted to live in California. So we moved to California and I bought a house there because I loved it. And eventually I realized that's actually not what I want because the US dollar, I hated getting bills and it created stress. And if you know your human design, I'm a projector. And so for me, the opposite of feeling success is like bitterness. And that's how I was feeling with that house. And therefore I was like, I got to get rid of it because it's taking my energy and draining me in a way that I actually don't want anymore. So I wanted that thing, but I was able to retract and be like, actually, it's not what I want. I want this thing over here. And then it was like, wait, I want to start a regenerative farm and a homeschool pod and like have land and learn how to live off the land and be self-sustaining and all of these beautiful things. So I went and created that. And this vision is taking a lot longer. Like normally I'm really fast. Okay. So like I say I want something and like I'm moving on it, I'm getting it, it's happening, I'm moving toward that thing and it's happening quickly. This has taken longer than any one of my dreams, but I've also been wishy-washy in feeling like, oh, I could move to Texas and I want to be in the States, but I want to be in Europe, but I don't want to be in Canada, but like, like I've been a kind of a whirlwind of options, okay? And so for the first time in the last few months, I finally feel anchored in like, I am committed to completing this project. I have a vision. I'm going to follow it through. And I trust that all these other things I want will be in my future, but they're not for right now. And anchoring in like the season of where I am right now and making that my priority to bring it to completion and settling in that the journey is going to take some time. So I share that because give yourself permission to pivot, to change what you want, and to trust that like you're not meant to stay the same for your whole life. You're meant to pivot and change and evolve and expand. That's what this whole podcast is about. And allow yourself the space to move into different seasons and circumstances and become who you're meant to become. Trusting that like the vision you have at 21, 25, 28, 32, 35, 55, 75 is going to be different. Your needs, your wants, your desires are going to be different. But this is where getting to know yourself is so important so that you can honor what you truly want. Because if you're listening to this and you're anything like me, I went to school because it's what I thought I was supposed to do. I went and got the corporate job because it's what I thought I was supposed to do. I went and bought the house and had the kids and got married because it's what I thought I was supposed to do. And then it's been me unraveling all of the thinking you're supposed to do and the pressures of society to be like, what do I want? So that brings me back to the money piece of like, don't just chase a dream that society sells you to like have the home and be able to take a trip every year and have the fancy car. Like if that's not what you want. And if it is, amazing, own that. But if it's not your vision, who cares? You can want money for different things. So what I wanted to leave you with was really remembering that what you appreciate appreciates. So the people in your life, the things that you have, the way that the money comes in, even if it's not as much as you hope that there is, appreciate it. Because I will tell you the seasons where I've been more, my money always goes down. And I think it's to remind me like, girl, I just gave you more and it still wasn't enough for you. So come back down to planet Earth, earn less, show appreciation so that I can give you more and you still show appreciation for that. So I'm going to read a couple little affirmations that I want you to listen to. So you can say them right after me if you want. And then I want you to pick 3 to 10 that feel good, that you're like, man, I need to rewire that in me. And I'm going to keep repeating this to myself daily. So the first one, money comes easily and frequently. And say it in your head and let it sit. 2, I receive. This is a big one. For a lot of us, the minute someone gives us something or tries to offer us something, we go, oh, no. And you block it. So how often are you doing that in your life? Oh, do you want a piece of cake? No. Do you want me to grab you a coffee? No. Can I bring you anything? No. Can I help you with that? No. That's blocking abundance. It's not only about money. So you wonder why you're struggling, but you literally don't allow anyone to do anything for you and you don't know how to receive. I always have more than enough money. What if you let that be true? Money comes to me easily and effortlessly. Take a deep breath and like let all of these sink in where you say it again in your mind or out loud. I welcome an unlimited source of wealth and income into my life. I am a magnet for money. Money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. I deserve prosperity. My wallet is overflowing with money. I release every block that has held me back from receiving prosperity. I am worthy of making more money. I'm deserving of abundance in my life. I move from poverty thinking to abundance thinking. I am grateful for everything I receive. My financial future is secure. If you feel secure in you, you never have to worry about money. It will eventually just be secure. I don't worry about money. I trust that that is taken care of always. I have more than enough money to help the important people in my life. That was a big one for why I wanted to make more money back when I started my business. I wanted to be able to give my parents the the freedom of not worrying about financial stress every day of their life. I am the first millionaire in my family. Sit with that. Say that. What does that feel like? Because for me, I knew that this was going to be my future, that I was going to break generational patterns, that like the old stories of struggle and issues with money, I was like, that won't be my story. I'm going to make money. And I would write down that I was going to make $1 million to make it be true. Because you have to first see it in your mind's eye before it can ever become reality in the physical. And when you really get that, you understand why it's so important to focus on your mind. I use money to better my life and the lives of others. Are you selfish with your money or are you generous? Because being generous is very important. Money allows me to live a life I love. Money is easy, and I always have enough. Money is a tool and a resource to live the life of my dream. So how I'm going to close this one out, I'm going to tell you a couple things that helped me. So listen to those affirmations if you need to. Again, write some of them down, and pick 2, 3, 10, whatever that you're going to breathe in, sit with, believe daily if you can. Okay. So some things that really helped me. Understanding and identifying my money stories and beliefs so that I could rewrite them. So we already talked about that. Identify them. Really go back and like think about childhood and how you were raised and the people's beliefs around you. Are you still holding those beliefs today? Number 2, I grew my capacity to hold over time. So what I mean by that is some people earn a lot of money and lose it all because they don't have the capacity to hold it. So what I mean by that is like I had to start with like having $2,000 in my bank account, then $4,000 in my bank account, then 8,000, then 10,000, and so on and so forth, right? Like you have to build up your capacity and your bandwidth of like what feels safe to your nervous system. Because when you are in a place of fear, scarcity, and lack, even if I dropped $1 million in your bank account tomorrow, you could feel so unsafe with that you would literally lose it all because your baseline is to be in struggle and have no money. So it's not about even having more money most of the time. It's like, how can you create the space that like you feel safe around money? Make sense? I started doing visualizations and letting myself imagine a life where I made more. So for you, you could just write a note to yourself where it's like, okay, my name is blank and I am making, I don't know, pick a number, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, whatever your thing is, dollars per month. And because of this, my life looks like blank. And then write about how it feels. Because that's really important, especially as a woman, to connect to what it feels like inside your body. The next thing is writing out, like this is an easy one that I learned from Danny Morrell, but writing out 25 times a day, 3 times the amount that you've ever earned in your life. So like, let's say your highest number is, I don't know, $50,000 in a year. You're going to write, I earn $150,000 a year or more over the next 12 months. And you're going to write that out 25 times. That just helps to rewire your brain. And on the topic of money, I just want to say, money doesn't dictate how worthy you are. Your worth money doesn't dictate how worthy you are. Your worth dictates how much money you make. So just trust that like if you have low self-worth, it's kind of normal not to have a lot of money. Now you get to go work on your self-worth and see yourself as someone who's worthy and deserving of more. The more worthy you feel and the more self-worth you have allows you to feel worthy of receiving more money. If you have a low self-worth, it's often tied to lower earning, receiving, and money. And you know what's really crazy? Your self-worth comes from your mom. So when you think of how she showed up for herself and her ability to have self-worth for herself, likely the way that she was or however she treated herself is correlated to your money story and also your own self-worth and how you treat yourself. So just knowing like some of those self-worth issues might not even be yours that you're holding. Yeah, but what I'll say is like if you're struggling with money, I can almost guarantee you're struggling with your self-worth in some capacity. You don't feel enough. You struggle with your self-worth. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I hope that was helpful. Write a little note to yourself. Pick a number. Is it 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, whatever, wherever you're at in your financial journey of like a number and what your life feels like earning that amount per month and how different you feel because of that. But yeah, and pick some affirmations and write those down. But just know that identifying where the struggles and beliefs come from that likely aren't yours gives you I hope it can give you compassion for yourself that your struggles you're currently in likely aren't even yours. They're inherited. So you can choose to rewrite those at any time and choose to have a different story just by prioritizing yourself and your own self-worth and moving from there. So I love you guys. Thank you for listening. If this was helpful and you feel like it could help somebody please send it to them. Like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. It means so much. And share it with somebody subscribe to the podcast, download the episode. Like that helps support me and getting this out to other people. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next episode. And I believe in you that you are deserving of whatever life you want, but it's up to you to take radical responsibility in describing what that is so that you know what to visualize so that you can go create it. I love you guys. See you in the next episode.